Hey everyone, and welcome back. Now today we're going to be talking about Jasmy because frankly the recent price performance of Jasmy has been I guess underwhelming, so to say, and that might even be a little bit of an understatement. I know there's a lot of people who are not particularly pleased with how Jasmy's been moving, myself included. However, this does seem reminiscent a little bit of kind of what we saw before we saw the last really strong move to the upside. So we're going to take a little bit of a look at the chart today, see what's going on there, and then we're also just going to kind of take a quick look at the state of the Jasmy community's sentiment, I guess I should say. So we'll take a quick look at that as well. Before we dive into that though, I did just want to show kind of the crypto bubbles overall. We can see on the day things looking definitely pretty strong red. Not a whole lot green here. I mean, we've got a couple of greens here and there, but we can see Jasmy down 4.1%. I guess almost. Let me move it up behind my picture. Jasmy down 4.1%. So things not looking particularly awesome here. But again, this has kind of been the name of the previous week. I mean, obviously tons of reds everywhere. A couple greens again, here and there, but overall, I mean, it's pretty clear that the market sentiment is negative just generally overall. And I do think this is pretty clear to see with the Jasmy chart as well. So if we head on over and take a look at the Jasmy chart, we can see, we'll actually zoom in a little bit. We'll take a look at a couple of different time frames, but here we are just looking at the daily chart. We can see, it's been kind of down only. It looked like it might have been kind of holding some support at this 3-cent range. Obviously, if you've been listening to the channel for a while, we have been talking about this. When this did break, not the best news overall, of course, but we can see price still kind of consolidating more generally. Things are kind of coming down to a point here. Obviously, it is a descending channel. So, again, we're seeing price consolidate, which is good, but we're not really seeing Bollinger Band squeeze in at all, which is a little bit interesting. And also, I would say more than anything, you could draw this line here, and I feel like this line is probably somewhat reasonable. We probably could even actually adjust it down a little bit, and maybe even do something kind of like this. You're excluding some of the rogue wicks down here, but this might even be something that's a little bit more reasonable, because it actually does even give, unfortunately, further room for the Jasmy coin to fall. So that could be a possibility here. Also, though, what we are, I think, kind of the main takeaway that we should be seeing here is we have this descending trend line. And in my opinion, until we break this descending trend line, it's probably not worth getting into Jasmy or taking a trade. Again, if you're looking for long-term hold, and you believe in kind of the promise and the conviction of the Jasmy project overall, I would say that's probably looking pretty fine. Obviously getting in down here would be better than getting in up here when you're seeing a break. But if you are looking to trade, particularly with leverage, I would say we definitely want to see the trend break happen first before we try and do anything pretty crazy. We can see getting very, very close to oversold here on the daily. Basically, ever since we peaked at 6 cents, it's been a pretty strong, I would say, just overall move to the downside on the RSI. We can see that, overall momentum is weakening for Jasmy. I think it's pretty clear it kind of feels that way as well, right? And so that's kind of what we're seeing here. If we do look at the hourly, it's going to be about more of the same. You can see we are kind of continuing this trend to the downside. If we look at the Bollinger Bands, nothing too crazy happening as far as squeezes or anything. Sitting down, or at least we were recently, to a little bit of this bump right here, but sitting down kind of towards the bottom of the Bollinger Band. If we go to the day, we also can see kind of something very similar, consistently kind of pushing towards the bottom of the Bollinger Band here recently. So, not particularly great, consistently sitting towards the oversold, at least as we're showing on the Bollinger Bands. RSI hasn't quite gotten there yet. So again, potentially some room to see some further sell-offs and some selling pressure, because we're not totally in confluence yet with some of the various technicals that we are seeing here. So if you are looking to trade Bitcoin, Jasmy, Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, anything like that, feel free to use my link in the description below. We do still do that 10% bonus on first time deposit, which is a super great deal. I love free money, I'm sure you do as well. Also, extra bonuses up to $10,055 per user, which again, also another really great deal there. And then no VPN or KYC necessary if that is something that's important to you. So like I said, if you are interested, just go ahead, check the link in the description below, and go on ahead and get signed up for BTCC. It may not be a particularly great time to be trading leverage right now, but I mean, it could always be a really great time to be stacking your spot bags, as many things are on discount right now. I know a lot of people talk about how great it would be to, I just wish I could see, when Jasmy's at 6 cents, people are like, I just wish I could see Jasmy sub 3 cents. Well, here it is. potentially we could even be seeing Jasmy sub 2 cents again. So, options are happening, even like something with like the Virtuals protocol. A lot of people were clamoring in at $5 a coin. It's now 60% less of that, and people are all freaked out. So, kind of funny how people work. But overall, like I said, if you are interested, want to stack your bags of anything that you could be missing or wanting more of, BTCC, a great place to do that because you're getting 10% extra money on that as well. So, moving back to the Twitterverse, or I guess the Xverse, we should call it now, I wanted to go over just kind of a general sentiment of the Jasmy market. I haven't really done this before, but I usually now and again will just go in and just type Jasmy and just kind of see what comes up, right? And so, unfortunately, this is a recurring event, I guess I should say, for what you see if you were to just kind of like search Jasmy on X. So you can see, obviously, we've got the standard bull posts. These are the people who are going to bull post absolutely no matter what. I mean, Jasmy could be at literally zero and we'd still see these types of posts. You can see here, same type of thing. It's all this TA. There's almost no like news. There's almost no catalyst. There's nothing other than TA about, bullish engulfing, head and shoulders. We're doing a 17-year-long head and shoulders, and it's going to break out to 600 cents or whatever. It's very, very tired, I guess I should say, as somebody who's like constantly trying to look for some interesting Jasmy news. Same thing type of here, got some memes here and again, but then also we have a couple of different posts here too, where people are essentially getting a little frustrated with the lack of movement that we are seeing out of Jasmy. People getting frustrated just overall with kind of how we're not really seeing too much going on in the Jasmy chart. We're not seeing a whole bunch going on from the Jasmy team, a lot of that type of stuff. So sometimes I will go in and kind of check this out just to get an overall sentiment check. We are seeing, people trying to do some technical analysis that's a little bit more, I guess I should say, unbiased or focused more on kind of what's going on in the market, how it's not necessarily particularly positive right now, and that's okay, right? I mean, a lot of times there are people who just bull post only, and then in my opinion, I feel like you lose a little bit of credibility if you do that. We just got to look at it as it is, right? I mean, if we go back to the chart, I know we've already taken a look at it, but we'll just take a quick look back at the chart again, and we could see, not super great price movement. Still a much further room to go down if we are kind of falling into this wedge. Again, we may not even be sitting in a wedge overall just due to some of these like kind of rogue wicks that we've seen. This could just be a descending channel that we need to break above this trend line to break out of. And that's why I'm so kind of like confident in the fact that we do need to see a break of trend just kind of more generally. We need to see RSI start to get stronger. We need to see things kind of moving up towards the top of the Bollinger Bands. As we can see, the Bollinger Bands have been consistently moving to the downside. So, there's a lot of stuff going on here that doesn't indicate necessarily the most rosy situation. Obviously, my complaint persists that Jasmy is not particularly great in terms of communication. They're very, very few and far between. I understand that they're probably busy and working and trying to develop a quality product, which is totally fine. But news updates really do help a lot, even if the news is just no news, right? I mean, that even still is, at least it's something, right? And so that's kind of my take on where we're at with Jasmy. Overall, as I've kind of mentioned in some of my previous videos, I'm not like at the point of selling. I do think we can see some pretty interesting movement from Jasmy still. As we can see, if we do look at the chart one more time, I promise this will be the last time, but we can see, a whole bunch of nothing kind of happened for quite some time. And even if we go back and look at this, we can see, nothing, price explosion, nothing, descending wedge, descending channel, price explosion, nothing, down only, actually even below some of the lows that we were seeing back in here, price explosion to even newer highs, right? I mean, we are kind of following this overall macro uptrend. So potentially we could be seeing something similar. We aren't even reaching the lows that we saw back down here. When we do see another bounce, we could see it again, historically speaking, an even higher high than what we have seen before. So, I do think there's still a lot at play here for Jasmy. I do think that there's potentially, a lot of price movement, price action. When things move on Jasmy, they really seem to move. So I don't think it's over for Jasmy. I'm not at the point of selling it, nothing like that. But as I mentioned in a couple videos ago, going back to kind of the price prediction that I made a couple months back, definitely not like the ultra bull case happening here for Jasmy. I would say probably the bear to base case, just kind of how the market has unfolded so far, would kind of be my guess at where we end up generally. Again, assuming the market kind of unfolds as we expect it to. So overall, I'm still moderately bullish on Jasmy. I still think we can see some really great movements out of it. I'm not, at the point of wanting to sell my bag or anything like that. And frankly, I think a lot of this type of stuff is to kind of weed people out, shake out the impatient. And then, of course, as we see every single time, when price is hitting, 6, 8, 10 cents, people will be wanting to clamor back in and buy some more Jasmy. It seems to be how it always goes. So anyway, hopefully you found the information in this video useful. If you did, please do give me a like and a subscribe, because it really, really does help me out. Also, if you have any comments, questions, concerns, anything like that, just drop those in the comment section below. I really do appreciate your guys' feedback. My YouTube comment section is always a really, really nice place for me to just kind of get an overall sentiment on the market. How are people feeling? How are people doing? Obviously, some are more scared than others. Others are very, very bullish and confident in the various projects I talk about, things like that. But overall, I would say I get a pretty nice kind of sentiment check on the overall market. And I will say, I've seen more whining in my comment section than I have probably since September, maybe even August. So we're seeing a lot of whining, and the market is near all-time highs. So it is a kind of interesting. I feel like sentiment is kind of overly bad for how good we are in the market. So again, just something to consider. That's my opinion. That's my perception on what I'm viewing kind of coming out of my comment section. So, something for you to kind of take a little closer look at. So thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next video.